Postcolonialism is an international relations theory that emerged as a critical response to the legacies of European colonialism in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and other regions. The postcolonial theory is part of a larger post-structuralism theory. Post-structuralism, a new way of thinking, rejects the traditional assumptions of the world. Post-structural critique is mainly addressed towards neorealism, but it opposes all traditional and established approaches too. In their critique, post-structuralists reject the objectivity of other theories and their attempts to scientifically explain the geopolitical affairs of the world. The post-colonial ideology, a relatively new movement that emerged in the late 20th century, challenges the dominant Western narratives of colonialism, arguing that they perpetuate the subordination of non-Western peoples. This ideology is also critical of how the international family is inequitable and unfair, where the Western superpowers have historical advantage over the rest of the world. The post-colonial approach criticizes past and still existing Western exploitation and domination over the rest of the world. This criticism includes colonial behavior, which is imposed through education, culture, and knowledge. It includes the economic exploitation of labor and natural resources, the denial of self-determination to colonized peoples, and the theft or appropriation of native or original cultural identity and ownership. For example, European colonizers often took artifacts and historical items from colonized countries without permission or compensation. These items were then displayed in European museums, where they were often seen as trophies of conquest. This practice robbed colonized countries of their cultural heritage and contributed to the erasure of their history. Another issue is the appropriation of parts or the whole cultural uniqueness. This can take many forms, such as including parts of colonized cultures in song, music, or fashion, without giving credit to the original source or representing colonized cultures stereotypically or inaccurately. One of the first contributors to the post-colonial approach was the Palestinian Christian scholar Edward Said. He attacked the way the Orient, which is the Arab world and Asia, is portrayed in European literature and art. Edward Said, a pioneer of post-colonial theory, criticized the Western portrayal of the Orient and the rest of the world as backward, traditional, and despotic. Said claimed the Western perspective on the Orient does not appreciate the rich diversity of its cultural, social, economic, and political traditions and practices. Instead, it portrays the Orient as a dark and irrational place that contradicts the enlightened civilization and rationality of the West. Said faced backlashes in the American academia as a result of his radical thoughts. Nevertheless, until the end of his life, Said remained a fervent advocate for the Palestinian cause and challenged the preconceived ideas of the Orient and the colonial mindset in the West. Now, let's shift our focus to recent events in West Africa, where the post-colonial perspective sheds light on ongoing challenges. The recent military coup in Niger, along with similar regime changes in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea, must be understood through a post-colonial lens. General Abdourahmane Tchiani, in declaring himself the leader of the country, criticized the French role in Africa, citing neocolonial exploitation. Tchiani said, "We, therefore, call on the people of Niger as a whole and their unity to defeat all those who want to inflict unspeakable suffering on our hardworking populations and destabilize our country." This was a clear reference to the neocolonial exploitation and sufferings of Africans at the hands of the Western overlords. Similarly, a month ago, during a press release in Moscow, Burkina Faso's post-coup president Ibrahim Traoré has also called out neocolonialism as a reason for ongoing famine, corruption, and slavery on the African continent. On their part, the international community, to be more specific, the Western countries have expressed concern over these regime changes by brutal force. Meanwhile, the Economic Community of West African States, a regional international institution, has announced harsh sanctions against the leaders of the coup in Niger. But Guinea, Mali, and Burkina Faso All members of the named institution refused to implement these sanctions, leading to political friction between Western African countries. As West African countries are becoming more divided into two camps, an anti-colonial alliance and a pro-Western bloc, analysts speculate on Russian and Chinese interference in the Niger coup. It seems the global powers are competing each other for control over the new and planned international crossroads and pipelines in Western Africa, a region rich with natural resources. Not surprisingly, one such planned pipeline will pass through Niger, connecting natural resources, rich Nigeria with Spain and Italy. Indeed, the West, Russia, and China have clashing interests in Western Africa, as in the Middle East, Caucasus, and other parts of the world. Many analysts pinpoint Russian and Chinese interference in the Niger coup. These events reveal the complex interplay of historical exploitation, contemporary power dynamics, and economic interests in the post-colonial world. Post-colonialism continues to be a crucial perspective in understanding the challenges and aspirations of the West African region, as it seeks a more equitable and just world order. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of post-colonialism in international relations and its significance in the context of West Africa.